Welcome to One Insight. My name is Rich Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can actually be lonely. You can feel like more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything. You're about to hear and witness me coaching two really extraordinary people, both high performers, both members of Project Kairos, my community of leaders who are focused on one thing, creating clients. Jeff's an adventurer by background, and yet he's in this life of pressure that he's creating for himself. And Kimberley's taken some guidance I've given her in the past around stepping out of being invisible. She's put some big proposals out there, hasn't heard anything, and is wondering, what do I do next? I've heard nothing from these people. How do I handle that? There's a great moment in the middle of the conversation where Kimberley knocks over her ring light and she's mortified. But even in that moment, I draw a distinction out from the ring light falling down and to how we live our lives. And then there comes a moment at the end of the call when I think we're done. I ask Laura to cut and to edit from there, and we carry on chatting, and they share some other great stuff. So I say, let's leave this into really enjoyable conversation. Hey, Kimberley. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Thank you for saying yes to me. Thank you for trusting me. We have no idea where we will go today, and that's how I like it. That's how I get to be really present with each of you. Jeff, what have you got? What would make this a really valuable conversation for you?
Rich, for the past 6 months, I've been making a list of things I would like for you to coach me on. Mm-hmm. And interestingly, most of them have been worked through in that amount of time through Project Kairos, through the intensive. But I've got one that I'm still stuck with, and it's actually a product of success. It's a product of playing big.
Nice.
I love playing big. I've done this my whole life in ultra endurance sports. I've done it in a couple different careers. That part excites me. You tell me to go all in and give me some guidance, I'm going to go all in. Mm-hmm. I won't sleep. I won't take time off. Honestly, I love it. Yeah. I love it. And I'm in flow. I've written some books. I once ran 37 hours. Like I'm the kind of guy who will go long and who won't stop when my heart is in something. I've been following the Prosperous Coach approach for the past 5 months. I've grown my business. I've had great success. I'm blown away and grateful. Yet I'm still working myself to death, it seems. I've taken a few days off this year. That's it. And I haven't given myself the space I need to keep showing up powerfully. I've doubled my rates a few times this year. It's incredible to be at this level, and I think there's still room to go. But I feel this pressure. I need to be prepared. I need to be energized. I need to show up. And I get worried. Can I keep all the balls in the air and show up like I owe it to my clients? Like I want to show up and also do some of the fun things I want to do outside of coaching as well.
I can relate. I know this story. Kimberley, sound familiar? Can you relate to this at all? Say more. Tell us how you can relate to this.
Totally. Yeah, not so much. Well, actually, not so much with the coaching, but with starting a business, running a business. Yeah, and not having time to do the things that you really want to do, and not being able to be present for your clients. I can absolutely relate to that.
Yeah. Me too. And no coincidence we're all here on this conversation right now, because my community are talented, driven, ambitious people like me. And so we know how to succeed a certain way, and it's got us here. But there comes a moment where we feel it, like we know we can't keep playing this way. Jeff, you can run an ultra endurance race. Some people do them for days, but there's a moment at which you can't go any longer. So we've got to catch you and work out a number of things. I'm going to pause there because I want to find out what Kimberley wants to bring in, and we'll see where we go with it. So Kimberley, what would make this an extraordinary conversation for you?
It's actually quite funny because what Jeff was saying was, I ever since knowing I was going to be on this call, I have my list, and it's amazing to think how far I've come with the things that were on my list that are no longer on my list. So, but I guess for me, it is how to take what I've done and expand on that. So I'm not invisible anymore, thanks to the very incredible conversation we had during the intensive. I actually did go and put myself out there, and I have this corporate gig now, which is amazing. And so
that was fast because we only finished the intensive a few days ago.
I know, but it was a woman, a CEO who I knew, and I just reached out to her, and I said to her, hey, what are you doing? Because she just got this job as CEO working for this large company. And I said, great that you've got that. Don't know if you know what I'm doing now. And she's like, wow, you're a coach. That's great. Let's have a conversation. And so we had a conversation. I coached one of her executives last Friday, and I got the job. So, which was amazing. And it really sort of motivated me to go out and do exactly what we talked about last week in Project Kairos, which was... Can
I catch you for a second, Kimberley? Bookmark the thought that's coming next. So I want to capture something for those people who are watching and listening. I have a rule of thumb for life that everything you want is so much closer than you can imagine. And there are two ways that you keep it out. One, Jeff, you're running at a capacity at a level which your energy is not present anymore. And as your energy goes down, so does your ability to see opportunities that are really close to you. So one of the reasons we need to free up your energy is there are all sorts of opportunities close to you that you literally can't see right now. And the same thing for you, Kimberley, when you're focused in a certain direction, then you miss opportunities that are 1 degree to the left and 1 degree to the right.
Yeah.
We expanded the possibility for you and you saw an opportunity. Within days, it's already become real. And that was the first moment of doing this. So we're on the same conversation from different directions in this moment. So I'm conscious I interrupted you, but I wanted to capture that moment. It's important. So keep going. How can I support you?
So I've now done something I never thought I would do, which was to write to a couple of really, really interesting people that I would love to coach. And I said to them, I would love to coach you. And that was a very scary thing for me, because these are people I admire in my previous industry that I worked with and for. And I haven't heard anything back. So now I'm like, okay, so was it the right thing to do? What should I do now? Should I keep doing this? I had the courage to then, after, having this positive experience, to reach out to these other people. And now I'm wondering if it was the right thing to do or what I should do now. Should I, check in again, or...
So am I right? You reached out to them and you've heard nothing.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what it means if you reach out to somebody and you hear nothing? It means nothing. You have no idea what it means. I made a proposal to somebody a year ago, or within the last year. 18 days, I didn't hear a word from this person. And then he wrote back and said, hey, Rich, I'm in. In fact, I made 2 proposals. One was very expensive. One was a lower price point. So these are the 2 ways we could work together. Heard nothing for 18 days. Got back to me after 18 days. Hey, sorry, I was really busy. I had this project, this mission I'm working on. I'm in for both of them. You have no idea what happens when someone says nothing. It means nothing, but you have to be in the ability to keep moving. It's like dating. I don't know how you guys remember your dating days, but if you reach out to somebody, mine were painful. You reach out to someone and say, hey, you want to go out for coffee tomorrow? Leave a voicemail, send them a message, whatever. If you're sitting there waiting, oh my God, hope they respond, your energy just collapses.
Yeah.
But if you know while you're dating, you've reached out to somebody else, you've got a night out hanging out with your friends, then it's just part of what's happening. We've got to get that energy back for you because it doesn't mean anything. You have no idea. They were busy. Yeah. It slipped down the bottom of their email inbox. If they're successful leaders, I tell you, their inbox is full, or they have a gatekeeper who's filtering everything out, and the gatekeeper doesn't know you the way that they do. So a couple of things. One, keep moving. Keep looking for other interesting people to reach out to. Number two, give it a little bit of time, a few more days maybe, but reach back. Call their assistant. There are other ways to get back to them. And sometimes we get an interesting, tell me if this sounds familiar. Something interesting comes into your inbox and you think, well, that sounds amazing. But you need to do some thinking about it. It's going to take a little bit of time to get back to. So you start to answer all the easy emails, and then either you're still thinking about it or you just gets pushed to the bottom of the email. You've opened it now, so you forget about it. When you hear nothing, it means nothing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's totally true.
Yeah. I love that you reached out to people you admire. Let me ask you this question. Put humility to one side. Whilst you admired them, did they also admire you?
Yes.
Yeah.
These are leaders, and I know this because people used to say to me, "How do you get them to respond to you?" And I'm like, "They do." And so these are people that I respect, but I know respected me, and I think that makes it a little easier as well to reach out to them because I know that they're not seeing this as a. Oops.
Was that your
my light?
Ring light? Okay.
That was my ring light. I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's still light enough.
I'll let you pick it up in a second. You can put it back on. But look, that's why I asked the question. Sure. We get all in doubt. Okay, so look, it's a little bit embarrassing right now, right? Your ring light fell down. The light's not quite so bright. But Jeff, did it impact you that Kim's ring light has disappeared?
Not at all.
Right. I call this the spotlight effect. In fact, it's literally the spotlight effect. We get on the dance floor. We think everyone's looking at us. We put our new website up in the world. We think everyone's judging us. Here's the thing, Kimberley. Both Jeff and I, we're not looking at your screen on the video. We're looking at our own. How's my hair look? Is my shirt okay? Is it come unbuttoned? That's the spotlight effect. Everyone is going into it. Everyone is worried about, is the spotlight on me? We're so worried about it for us, but so are they. So it's a perfect example in real time of literally the spotlight effect in action. So that was a nice catch. The reason I asked you, and I'll give you a moment, you can pick it up in a second when I talk to Jeff. But the reason I asked you about that question, do they admire you, is my sense was, yeah. In 4PC, which is my community of high-level leaders, the entrance requirement is we should be a little bit in awe of you and you should be a little bit in awe of us. It has to be this mutual sensation because that's what gets people interested. Yeah. So you're playing a really great game and you've given these people a gift. Hey, you want to have a conversation with me? It's hard to think of that because as humans, we're kind of programmed to be humble, to hold ourselves down here. But you've given them a gift. What an extraordinary gift. I have a friend who builds his business by writing a handwritten letter once a year to the people in his area who he thinks might be dream clients. He's built a business like this for 20 years. I've got no doubt that not everyone responds and not everyone says yes, but he's offering them a gift. Hey, would you like to talk about what it would look like for us to work together? What an amazing gift.
Thank you.
I'll let you get your ring light up. You just hit mute before you do. You hit
well.
mute and then get your ring light. So Jeff, what do you get from that? That's the fun thing about working with more than one person at a time. You can get your insights from other people's coaching. What's a takeaway you got from Kimberley's conversation just there?
I think one takeaway is we have such a tendency to create drama out of silence, out of absolutely nothing. Someone doesn't answer the email. Oh, they don't want to work with us. And I know during the intensive, I made the biggest proposal of my life in coaching. Scared me. It seemed ridiculous. It was double what seemed. It was my 3-year, what I thought I would reach in 3 years. And I said it. I said it. And then there was a pause. And I thought, good, let the silence be there. And I was ready for this incredulous, like, what? Are you kidding me? I had all this drama in my head for what the reaction would be. And the reaction was, can we start Saturday? And I was shocked. Like, it was so far beyond what I thought would happen. And that's just, I had created so much drama. Even in the silence, I was ready for this massive rejection. And it was just a logistical follow-up question.
Yeah. Great job. It's the game. We get in our head and we make it a story about ourselves because we raise our rates or we reach out to somebody fascinating. But they get a chance to say yes, they get a chance to say no. And if we're committed for the long haul, one of my friends, Jeff, he's been married for 20 plus years, but he was married and divorced before that. And he looks back now and says, that was my practice marriage. So I know every time I make a new big proposal or raise my rates, it doesn't matter if the first person says yes or no, because if they say no, I've practiced. And now I'm not so worried about saying that big number because I've already said it. And more often than not, if you can relax into that game, you get a yes sooner than you think. And you've been a model for that. So your way of living life, my sense is you run marathons as if they're sprints.
It could be. I find things that I'm fascinated with and I dive way into it. And I love it. It makes me happy. I decided one day I would write a book. So I spent the time. I learned how to write a book. I wrote a book. I wrote others. When there's something that's a passion project for me, my whole heart goes into it. And the price isn't in the product. So I don't think my energy's low for my clients. I'll make sure that the priority is there, how I show up. It's the price to myself. Mm-hmm. It's a price of relationships, of my own physical health, my own adventure spirit, the things I would do for myself. Before I was a coach and I worked a corporate job, I found a way to carve out the times to do the adventures, to do the sport training, these kind of things. And when I made the shift just over a decade ago, that's one of the first things that I cut. Mm-hmm. And I want to get that back.
Nice. So I'm going to help you with that in 1 second. I want to share something with Kimberley. Kimberley, did you notice I put a distinction out there? I said, it sounds like you're running marathons as if they're sprints. Mm-hmm. And Jeff said, could be. I think he was being polite because it didn't land. But here's the thing. I'm not attached. The only reason I'm bringing it up is to illustrate to you it just happened in that moment. It doesn't matter. It didn't land and we get to move on. One of the things about coaching I think sometimes people miss is that it's okay to lead as a coach as long as you're not attached to where you're going. I was leading with a distinction. It didn't land for Jeff. There's a much more interesting place we're going to go now, but it's an example in real time of putting something out there and not mattering what happens next. Mm-hmm. Commitment, I'm committed. That was a distinction I was committed to, but I wasn't attached. So now the distinction's gone. Mm. So Jeff, coming back to you, here's a distinction that I think would really be valuable for you. Be your own best client. Now that, Kimberley, that tiny little sound when you had and that face, that's the sound of insight. We're there. I could say more, but I think Jeff's got what he needs. What'd you get from there? How did that land for you, Jeff?
I don't believe I'm a very good client of myself.
Nice.
I've often coached myself. I've often asked myself, what would I tell me? And I can think of what I would tell me, but I'm not listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do this stuff for ourselves. It's why I have more than one coach. I have coaches who work with me on different parts of my life. At the intensive, you met Gabrielle, who helps me work on my physicality, because that's an area that if I don't have someone working with me on, I will let that drift. So being your own best client doesn't mean you have to coach yourself. It means you have to find ways to support you to do the things that are important. You did it in corporate because in corporate, you were probably doing things that drained you. So you knew if I put adventure on the list first, I'm going to be okay. The challenge with the life that we have, that where we're serving and giving value to others, is that whilst it feels really energizing, it's also secretly draining us if we're not paying attention. So the metaphor I like to use, Jeff, I don't know if you're a diver. I like to dive. And so it's like you have two tanks on your back with air. So one of them, the air goes down as you're putting energy out, serving clients, doing stuff. But every time you meet someone interesting, serve someone new, it goes back up again. So this tank goes up and down. There's something called helpers high. You feel down, go and help somebody else. That will go re-energized. But there's other tank on the other side. And if you don't take care of you first, that goes down and down and down and down. And you don't notice it because you're paying attention to this one. Well, I just served a client. I feel great. Just created a new book. I feel great. And then this one hits rock bottom. And then suddenly you're blown out. You just collapse. There's nothing left. And you don't even understand why. I thought I felt great this morning.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kimberley, I can tell with Jeff, I don't need to break that into, well, how do we do that and what needs to happen next? He's an adventurer. It literally says it on the number plate behind him. He adventures in his blood. He's got to turn his life into an adventure. But Jeff, you know this as an adventurer, as someone who goes camping or hiking or long runs. You got to do the things. There's a bit of risk mitigation you put in first, and that's what you got to put into your life. You've got to put you first, the way you used to do back in corporate, where it was easy, because adventure was what made you feel alive. The danger you have now is that almost everything you do makes you feel alive. It's a quality problem, and one that you have to pay attention at this stage in your life and career.
Thank you.
Kimberley, what else do we need to talk about today to have you feel complete before we finish?
That's a very good question. I was just thinking about my takeaways from the conversation, and the what I really loved was the hearing nothing means nothing. But what I think was the most valuable was this the question you asked me about whether or not the people that I have reached out to also respect me. And I think that's really important to me, especially at this point in my life where I'm now really embracing the not being invisible anymore. And what you said to me in the intensive of sitting at the edge of my comfort zone, so that I'm not like in my comfort zone. Well, I'm in my comfort zone, but I'm just kind of I'm standing at the edge of that cliff with my parachute, wondering am I going to like jump and is it going to be okay? So yeah, I don't know. I think that's that was. Really...
Here's what I heard in that. I think what I heard, there's a nice little graphic you'll see online, different places. It's got a circle and it says your comfort zone inside that circle. There's a tiny circle out far away from the other circle, and it says where the magic happens. And there's truth. The magic happens outside of your comfort zone. But you know what? It doesn't have to be that far. And leaning in to the edge of your comfort zone, magic can happen there too. Sometimes if we go so far past it, we're too scared to make magic happen. And I think you're in a perfect place where you're leaning in constantly to the edge of your comfort zone.
And I'm actually a lot more comfortable with that than I thought I would be. Today, I've just been meeting such incredible people since working in Project Kairos and the intensive. And today I had a really amazing conversation with another coach whose husband works for a design company, and I'm an interior designer. And I had always wanted to be able to combine my passion for interior design, my having run a business for 23 years, and my coaching. And she said, give me your CV. I'll send it to my husband. And they're always looking for people to help, bridge the gap between creativity and business. And I was like, this is like it. This is really what I want to do. This is so what I want to do. It was amazing.
It strikes me that when you're coaching, you're in the interior design business. When you coach around mindset, we're only working on the inside, and the outside just shifts.
Yeah.
So that ability you have to bring creativity into whatever world you're in, that's really powerful.
Hopefully.
Well, so Jeff, did you catch that? That hopefully kind of disempowered Kimberley. It took her into, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, if only they choose me and only they can see the magic that I could create, instead of, no, I see this, Kimberley. I wasn't making this up. I immediately got that distinction of you're in the interior design business, you're in the creativity business, you've got entrepreneurial blood, you've got coaching blood, you've got an ability to see things in a way that other people don't see them. So they might have a conversation with you and say, yeah, this is great, we're in, let's do it. But if they don't, it just means it wasn't the right fit. Mm-hmm. And if you continue because you have this passion for coaching, entrepreneurship, interior design, seeing the way people think, challenging the way people think, then there'll be the next opportunity and the one after that. And I want to catch that place where you went, hopefully, because it's we have to listen carefully to the way that our clients speak. That intonation told me a lot. I mean, I'm making it up, but I think I got there, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's not, and in fact, it's not even my coaching skills that I question. It's my design skills that I question in that respect more than my coaching skills. But you're right, and I know that I should know that I'm very good at both of them. So,
well, let me even help you with that. I love to find out, how do you turn a weakness into a strength? So what strikes me, knowing nothing about your design skills, is when you own that from the beginning, you're in the power seat. So I want you to know before the conversation begins, I'm not a traditional interior designer. I don't have the traditional interior designer way of thinking, because I bring the blood of an entrepreneur and the blood of a coach, as well as the insights of being an interior designer. So if you're looking for something traditional, I'm probably not your person. But if you want somebody traditional, we probably wouldn't be talking. What does that smile put words to?
That's amazing. That's totally amazing, because that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
Nice. My pleasure. Thanks, Kimberley. Jeff, thank you too.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. You edited it there. That was great, you guys. That was really fun. Some great stuff came up.
I'm so sorry about the light.
No, but look, don't apologize. Didn't you see? Like, we got a great distinction from it. I don't care. It's not like I'm on Netflix or anything. Like, this doesn't have to be perfect. It was great.
Yeah.
We got more magic from that. I promise you, someone is going to hear that and get the insight they need from that piece, and everything else you shared, it won't land for them. So it was perfect.
Thanks so much, Rich. That was totally amazing. Really.
My pleasure. Glad to be on the journey with both of you.
Rich, I got to say, in the 5 months since you've been in my life, it's so much has changed. Yeah. I've had amazing coaching experiences the past decade, but what has happened since I've been learning from you, it's not just the money. The money's nice, but it's the quality of the coaching conversations and experiences. I feel so alive, and it's such a shift from. It's a beautiful growth step that happened, and I'm just super grateful. So I just wanted to say, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'm also so grateful. And Jeff is totally right. Since joining Project Kairos, everything has changed for me. Everything has shifted. So it's wonderful.
I love it. I'm really honored. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to tell Laura not to cut where I said earlier and leave this piece in, because it's really fun to hear you sharing what's going on for you.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Rich.
For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching. It was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.